Myles Garrett has asked for a trade, and you say they owe it to him to do it.
They do. He's been a good soldier. And listen, that window for them to win the championship is come and gone with Deshaun Watson's health and his play. I think this is an opportunity for them to reset the market. They're 31st in salary cap space. So they're already behind the 8 ball. Not only does trading Myles Garrett create the space that they need to try and get financially fit, that also allows them to get a haul. I think Myles Garrett will go for a quarterback's ransom. When you go back and you think about, Russell Wilson, what he went for. He went for 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 players. So you think about what you can do as far as reloading and doing everything. I think it makes sense. Myles Garrett is 30 years old. He doesn't have time to waste. He is too talented of a football player not to be put on a stage to show everybody his great.
You know the situation, Hawk, better than anybody.
I mean, there's a lot of soul searching that needs to happen because you understand it from Myles' perspective. To your point, he's in the league 8 years. He is routinely the best defensive player in the NFL for my money. And people probably don't talk about him even as much as they should because players on winning teams get more attention. They get more marketing. They get more of those conversations of, is this the best defender of our generation? And so for Myles, who was a part of the early pieces of that rebuild with an 0-16 season, you understand from the Browns' perspective, they've made all of these moves like Deshaun Watson, like getting aggressive with all the assets they have because they have the one absolute that's always there, and that's Myles Garrett. They will always have a great defense as long as Myles Garrett is in the building. They felt confident that they could make a run because they have Myles Garrett. So to go against that and say, I'm going to give this generational player away, even if it's pulling at your heartstrings and you want to do right by him, that's tough.
What do you think, T. Wood?
At the end of the day, if you don't have a quarterback, you have no chance. You don't have a quarterback. That Deshaun Watson contract is an albatross around that Cleveland Browns organization right now. You ain't going to get out of it for at least another 2 years. If you're Myles Garrett, that's 2 years that's wasted in your career, in your prime. Listen, he has all the accolades. Okay, he's been a defensive player of the year. He's like the only guy who's had 4 straight years of 14-plus sacks.
Yeah.
Like, you've had all of that. At some point, Myles Garrett's probably thinking, man, I want to play for a championship. Can you imagine Myles Garrett doing all this stuff, and every year you watching, all these other guys playing for a championship, and you sitting at home by Thanksgiving? Yep. Every year, basically. Yep. So I understand, and I actually applaud Myles Garrett for saying, you know what, man, I've done everything possible in Northeast Ohio to try to help this Brown organization. I can't do it anymore.
Give me the team that should trade for him right now.
Man, I think the Washington Commanders should trade for him. They got $82 million of salary cap space. They have a young, talented quarterback that he can put them over the top. They have the assets to trade if they need so, and they got the money to pay him and give him the extension he deserves and put him on the stage he deserves.
I love it. You said it in the meeting this morning. I really like it. And one final word on this. There's a Hall of Famer who I feel like this reminds me of, and that was Joe Thomas. And he decided, you would have played with him, obviously, in Cleveland. He played his whole career in Cleveland. What do you think? He never did this.
Yeah, no, he never did. And actually, Joe was adamant not to be traded. There was a moment at the end of his career in Cleveland where he was the only exceptional player that organization had for 10 years, me included. I was not in that category. And that was the case that the fans would cheer and they would rally around the greatness that was Joe Thomas. And Peyton Manning called Joe in the year the Broncos won the Super Bowl, trying to convince him to go be vocal about him wanting to trade and come protect Peyton Manning's blind side for a Super Bowl. And Joe didn't. He stayed there and he said, hey, I committed to turning this place around and winning a championship here, and he didn't get the chance to. He's a Hall of Famer, but it does have a lot of overlap in the case of Myles Garrett.
It reminds me of when Kevin McHale had to go to Kevin Garnett and say, listen, it's time for you to go. You're too great. And he to Boston. He had to convince Kevin because he was too loyal, right? And I applaud Myles Garrett for getting out there. I'm happy that Matthew Stafford got out because that's the same sentiment we had as Detroit Lions fans, that he deserved to be put on the stage, and we see what he did with that.
We'll see if he winds up receiving what he's looking for, which is a trade. In the meantime,
how's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.